The Kenya Air Force is now celebrating 60 years of existence. Kenya Air Force twawakilisha tukiwa angani, twahudumia tukiwa angani, started in June 1964. Kenya Air Force started with a squad of about 15 cadets. They were trained in 1960. You know, Kenya attained independence in 1963, and in January 1964, they were taken to Kiganjo. They were taken to Kiganjo to be trained. You see, the head of state and commander-in-chief was the monarch. So Jomo Kenyatta, being the prime minister of the independent Kenya, cheated the monarch that he was training police pilots. And if you go to Kiganjo, at the parade ground, between the main gate, between the parade ground, and between the barracks, that is the dormitories, there used to be, I think the classroom is no longer there. It could no longer be there. Or it has been converted into a museum. They had a classroom there where the CDI used to be, where they were training. The cadets themselves knew themselves to be the cadets themselves knew themselves to be airmen, but the Queen, through the Governor General, were informed that these were going to be police pilots. Then on somewhere there, the Jomo Kenyatta convinced the monarch that the police air wing pilots who were in Kiganjo should be converted into airmen, and they were taken to Britain for training. So on the Madaraka Day of 1964 is when now Jomo Kenyatta publicly acknowledged the existence of the Kenya Air Force. Among the 15 or so cadets who were there, I only recall two. One left service as a captain. He was Captain Omondi. Captain Omondi left service in 1972, from 64 to 72, that is 8 years. He served the Kenya Air Force, or the Kenya Armed Forces, for 8 years. And he was implicated with Kina Gideon Mutiso, Kina Gideon Mutiso, with the 1972 Ndolo. I wanted to say Major General Ndolo and others. They were implicated in the 1972 coup attempt. So he left service at the rank of captain. The other person among the 15 cadets was Gishuru. Gishuru later went on to be the head of the Kenya Air Force and stayed for a long time as a lieutenant colonel, head of the Kenya Air Force. When later it was decided that the head of the Kenya Air Force should be a full colonel, he was headed there. Then when he was a full colonel, he was then transferred. Yeah, I think among the 15 there was also Karaoke. Then he was transferred to the DOD, and he was promoted to the rank of brigadier and sent to DOD. And his deputy, who was Colonel Karaoke, was made a brigadier and made the head of Kenya Air Force. Karaoke, if you remember, he's the one who was in charge of Kenya Air Force at the rank of Major General when there was a coup attempt in 1982, and that is when he was jailed and so on. So that is the history of Kenya Air Force. And as I pen off, I want to ask you, have you noticed that in Kenya, the military use army ranks? You find that the current chief of the defense forces is a general. But in other countries, you find that the Air Force and the Navy don't use the army ranks. You find that There is Air Commodore, there is Air Marshal, there is flight lieutenant, group captain, that is the Air Force. And even the Navy, you hear admiral, rear admiral, something such and such a thing. This thing, it is Ndolo who in 1966 said that all the KDF, by then it was not KDF, it used to be called Armed Forces, all the Armed Forces personnel should adapt the ranks of the army. So the last Air Force commander, who was a British, I've forgotten his name, but he handed over to James Gichuru. When handing over to James Gichuru was a lieutenant colonel, but him was a group captain. I remember seeing the picture of them handing over to each other at State House, and if you look at their rankings, you'll find that their rankings were the same. But it was said that they had gone to State House to the commander-in-chief to hand over from group captain, somebody, I think the name started with a G, to Lieutenant Colonel Gishuru. Gishuru, people used to say that he was the son of the minister, but he was not. He was just a namesake of the minister. So that is how the military started using the army ranks. And that is why. And then you'll find that the Navy still puts on the Navy badges of rank, but the Army, the Air Force, changed. You see, the Air Force used to have the Air Force ranks of the other countries where it is ribbons and whatever. But today, the ranks of an airman are the same as that one of an army man. This is something that was introduced when Mahmoud was made the Air Force commander after 82 coup attempt. He then influenced the government to have the airmen have the same badges of rank as the army. Thank you.